This podcast is brought to you by Vincero Watches. I always said I'm not a watch guy. I had like one watch, but I also said I was not a sneaker guy until I got into buying sneakers, and I found it fun to go into my closet and go, I wonder what shoes I'm going to wear. Now I'm doing that with watches, and it's a blast. I am wearing, they were nice enough to send me two watches, the Chrono S Rose Gold and this Bellwether white and blue nonstop. I think that's the name of it. I love it. I love it because it's a blue band. Blue's my power color. And normally I would never have bought a blue watch. I just was like, you know, I saw it on the thing and I was like, ooh, that really kind of popped to me. That looks like a watch I could wear if I ever went yachting, huh? Right? Isla stole the Chrono S Rose Gold. Now that's gone. But you're not going to find better made quality watches for this great a deal. Go to vincerowatches.com/Bert and use my promo code Bert to get 15% off. That is VINCERO watches.com/Bert to get 15% off. Use the promo code Bert. And you can see my top picks. I have a bunch. Like I said, I got the Chrono S Rose Gold and this Bellwether, I think blue and white nonstop. I think that's what it's called. But, they've got fantastic watches. You're not going to find this great a deal anywhere. So go to vincerowatches.com/Bert. Use the promo code Bert to get 15% off and treat yourself to a new watch game, huh? Thank you, Vincero. Let's start the podcast.
I mean, I know her story's insane.
So fucking good.
It's really good, yeah.
Leanne couldn't put it down.
Yeah, no, I know her story's truly insane.
Her story's fucking insane. She got molested. Well, I wouldn't mind talking about this on the podcast. You good? Yep. She got molested at like 12. She had a baby. She got pregnant at 12. She got maybe molested earlier. It's the most riveting fucking story. You know what's so funny is people talk about like, I was thinking about this today because I was like, I want to find out from you guys. You guys are really open-minded people.
Are you trying to fuck us?
A little bit.
Okay.
Start? Yeah, we started. Well, you're fucking Bert, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you see it.
Unfortunately.
You should have been paying attention.
I've gotten so bad at sex. If I was going to cheat on my wife, the person that slept with me would be like, ugh. Someone likes it that way. Just staring at them like I'm at the dentist's office. I always, there's like types of comedians out there right now that are like, fuck white privilege. That's not a real thing. I didn't have white privilege. Not every and then like there's like that style of comedy. I think that is my natural mouth breathing intellect.
Sure.
But then you read a book like that. I think my eyes have been opened pretty wide, but you read a book like Miss Pat's and you're like, oh, I can totally see how, I can see the path would be a little harder if you're black and you don't just have a natural dialogue with white people. You don't know how to, you know what I mean? So
I mean, the main thing white people have is they don't have as much fear as black people have.
Yeah.
And having a family and growing up, you know, your kids and being afraid that they're going to get arrested more easily. I mean, you don't really know that if you're a white person.
Oh, you're saying that every black family, no matter how rich or poor they are, have had to have a conversation with their kids like, this is how you act when the police pull you over. And white families, not always, but white families don't necessarily have to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. Right. That's like one little widget in the... I'm with you. I'm always like, it's such a bizarre argument. I was thinking about that. It's funny. I was thinking about this in the shower today. So it's weird that you brought it up, that like this idea that there's no such thing as white privilege is... it's not really this is just my opinion. Not really an examined belief. It's a political. Position, right? Yeah. It's like you to say something like that. It really what you're saying is like, I don't like the left. I don't like speech police. I don't like. It's not a super examined position because it's like we all believe. This is my opinion. We all believe in systems of privilege, right? Everybody believes in. I know that there are systems of privilege, like there's economic privilege. Not one person doubts economic privilege that exists, or that being born into a legacy family, or power is a kind of privilege, even if you don't have economic privilege. If you're one of these families in England whose family owned a fucking gentry mansion, but you're not necessarily rich, but you have access. So there's that kind of privilege, or Hollywood privilege. Like if you're born to a Hollywood royalty family, you've got inroads. So we all believe in these different systems of privilege. So to then be able to bend your brain one more notch and go, even if you're a conservative, even if you're a person that doesn't like certain aspects of racial politics, to just go like, well, yeah, that's another system of privilege. It's another like widget of privilege. Seems to me more to be about like, I don't want.
That's exactly what it is. You're totally right. It's people that don't want speech police. They don't like the left, and they just go, I just say fuck you to everything.
Yeah. And there's that version on the left too, obviously, right? That wouldn't ever examine a conservative a conservative position because they're like, well, I'm not even going to lend my brain towards that orientation.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course there's it's obvious that there's advantages in this society to being white. I mean, of course there are. What people often do is they go,
and African Americans have shorter life expectancies.
There's a million different ways in which, yeah, completely. And poor people have shorter life expectancy regardless of their race. So, I mean, I grew up very poor on welfare.
Is that really a picture of your dad?
I'm
on
sorry?
Instagram the other day?
Which one?
Your dad passed away 19 years ago?
Oh, yeah, that was my dad, yeah.
That was a good-looking dude.
He was a cool guy, yeah.
Well, and he was Orthodox Jewish.
He was, but originally he was like kind of a beatnik weirdo. He was deaf. Both my parents are deaf.
I know.
You know that?
Yep.
So he was like... So there's so many layers of weirdness in my family, but he was a painter, like a abstract impressionist painter in the Lower East Side in like the late 50s, early 60s.
Jesus.
And then when my mom left him...
He gave up everything.
He gave up everything, became a fucking postal worker.
And then also became super religious.
Became an ultra Orthodox Jew and never painted. He put down his paintbrushes.
He put them all in a garage.
Put them in a storage space, dude. And it was like it was like a mythological creature in my family growing up, the storage space, because it like contained my father's like old
dreams.
Yeah, like his old weird life was like locked away in this storage space, and we could never open it. And when he died, it became this bizarre point of contention because there was like naked pictures of women in there. That he had painted when he was a young weird artist, and there were movies apparently of maybe my mother, like maybe my naked mom. I mean, and I want that. I mean, who does? That's my mom. I need to see that.
Moshe loves his mom.
Roll that footage.
Wait, did you just post a pic? Did you post a picture of your mom, or did you post a picture of your mom on Instagram?
I don't know.
I haven't seen my mom, so maybe it's Moshe.
You haven't seen your mom?
I mean, I haven't seen her recently to have posted a picture.
No, when she was younger, I think. Oh. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think I put a picture of my mom up. No.
Someone's mom was hot as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I was deep diving your Insta space? Last night.
Were you in the storage space? Looking at my mom?
Yeah, just going, yeah. Dude, I can get on the deep dive of, it's crazy. Like, I'll scroll on Instagram and like, because you guys were taking vacations recently. Like, you went camping.
We went camping with our 1-year-old.
I did that once.
What? Tell us about it.
Oh, I almost killed her.
What'd you do?
Yeah. I think of this so much. I almost sat on her head. Leanne was changing her diaper and we were on a boat and we were going over to Catalina to go camping. And I sat down and the boat moved and I sat down and I just missed her head.
Like you sat down really hard?
Yeah, I always sit down hard. And,
oh my God.
Dude, I break toilets because I sit down so hard. I swear to God. If I sit down, I fall. When I sit, I fall onto the thing. And I remember my wife just being like, huh. And I was like, hey. We camped with her when she was 1. We took her out to Catalina and we went camping with her.
I don't understand how babies ever make it to adulthood.
Dude.
I feel like I've almost killed my kid like 9,000 times.
So many times. I remember one time we used to live in a loft and we had a big, like one of those exercise balls. And I threw it off the top, just threw it. And it just missed Georgia's head by an inch. I go, that would have broke her fucking neck. And then you just go like, ugh.
Are you like a wild dad?
No.
You're not?
I'm not a good dad. I think I'm a really bad dad.
You're very cautious.
You're such a bad dad that when she said, are you a wild dad? You said, no, I'm not a good dad. So you don't even know. Like, no, I'm not good like that. I'm not a crazy wild dad.
No. I am a fun dad. I'm really, really fun. Like my kids are still, even like 15 and 13, they'll say stuff like we'll be at someone's house and they'll go, "Hey Dad, come outside and play with us." And so all the kids will want to play with me because I'll come up with games. Like I just
why is that bad? That's so good.
I'm just not. If we're going to be very, very candid, I sincerely regret working as much and as hard as I did for Travel Channel.
Oh,
I was gone for 9 years of their life, every 2 weeks, and then home a week, and then gone 2 weeks and home a week. And I really missed out on a lot of things. And I feel bad that I go on tour, like the way I tour, but I love it.
How do you tour? You go away for like a month at a time?
You're telling me that the Body Shots tour isn't...
The Body Shots World Tour?
The Body Shots World Tour isn't a part of your fathering system here?
Wait, hold on. You go for 3 months at a time?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about bringing one of them?
Yeah, I've offered for them to come. They came to Australia with me. But, they don't really... we have just recently, and I think, a lot of people say, negative things about Instagram, but Instagram inspires me. Like, I see people living great lives, and I go, I should do more shit.
Huh.
So we went on.
You see Instagram people camping, you're like, we gotta go camping,
I want to go camping. I swear to God, I was like, I saw you going surfing. I saw you surfing a bunch on Instagram recently, and I just was like, hey man, why am I not surfing? Like, why don't I go surfing?
Bert,
you went surfing with a great group of guys.
Anytime, come surf.
He has a whole surf crew.
Yeah,
dude,
there's a bunch of comics
I would love to.
I'll take you out.
I haven't surfed in forever, and I when I did it when I was a kid, I didn't even know if I could do it now. But like, we have spent the last...
You can't be worse than Moshe.
Hey. What's going on over on that side of the couch? I'm about to do the old Bert on the boat sit down trick on you.
We spent 6 weeks recently, 6 of the last 8 weeks vacationing, me and my girls. And we got along really well. We really still are all really good friends. Our family's really close.
How old are the girls?
I don't know.
You're like, they're girls? Yeah, I guess they are girls. Yeah, that's right.
15 and 13. But like,
I saw your Conan appearance about the period stuff, and I thought to myself, this is like the best dad ever. What an awesome figure to have in your life.
Yeah.
But I guess you're not in their life, so you're on.
I'm just not.
Do you FaceTime with them every night?
No. We're past that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm present when I'm present, and I don't hit them or anything, and I'm a good dad, but like very rarely have they ever seen me drive a car. I never drive. My wife always drives. My wife just is like a fucking bulldog, and so she
sounds like a really good mom.
She's a great fucking mom,
especially because she's not letting the kids feel. She's not making you feel guilty.
No,
she's not influencing the kids. Like, dad's not here.
She's like, this is the life we lead. This is that some dads go to war and are gone for 2 years at a time, and some dads go to prison. Some dads are lawyers and work out really hard. And I think I'm obsessed with work. I'm really obsessed with work. I can't shut my brain off. But I made it a point this summer to do. We went to Bali, Australia, Alabama, and La Jolla.
Man, Alabama must have been a pretty big steep drop from Bali and Australia.
We had to see my wife's fucking family.
Oh, you guys are from there. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I like that you included it in the tour, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alabama can be beautiful, though, especially in the summer.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, one of the best motorcycle rides I've ever had was up through the Talladega National Forest. Reminded me of Africa.
Have you ever? Would you do anything differently if you could go back in time? Would you change anything?
I wouldn't.
Obviously not. He's still going on 3-month tours.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, only because, it seemed to have worked out.
Right.
Like, and I wouldn't. I think so much. Like, you guys don't have this, and Tom doesn't have this, and Bill doesn't have this, and Joe doesn't have this. No one had this. I feel like the only goddamn fucking comic that had this. But like, having a kid, being poor and being panicked that it wasn't going to work out, and watching people's careers take off and going like and looking at my kids going, they don't know I'm a loser.
Oh, by have this, you mean having had your kid at a moment of career question marking?
Yeah, I had my kid. Right before we had Georgia, my business manager called me and said, hey, I was like, I'm going to take the month off of when Leanne was due to expect. I'm going to take that month off, and then I'm going to take another couple months off after that so I can be around for the birth. And my business manager called me the first day of my month off and was like, hey, you're broke. And I was like, what? He was like, you got to pay taxes and you don't have any money. You don't have any money. So like, and he was such an idiot. He was like, so like, you should probably book a commercial or something. And I was like, cool, man. And I was broke when I had Georgia, like
this
so broke.
This is pre-Travel Channel.
This is, I had first I got to deal with Will Smith, then I got to deal with CBS, and I got a TV show on the FX called The X Show. And then I did a show called Hurt Bert.
Wait, hold on. You're saying that you're 4 TV shows in and this is your moment of rock bottom career-wise?
Yeah.
I should introduce you to some open micers who will murder you.
No. I have 4 TV shows, but then I was like, I'm going to focus on stand-up. And I just spent all that money. And then, and by the way, I was featuring, I was featuring for Jay Moore at the time, and he was taking time off. So like, I was like, I didn't have any money. And I had to work. I featured at all the improvs for $700, paid my own flight. They put me in the condos or maybe put me in a hotel. And I was making no money for at least, I want to say like 3 years. And then I got headlining gigs, but I was making $1,300 was my quote, $1,300. And then they dropped me to $1,200. And I was like,
you had a $100 demotion?
I remember they were like, yeah, you know what?
You're not a $1,300 comic, Bert.
Yeah.
You're a 12er.
They did it to me and they did it to 3 of us. I'm not going to say everyone's names.
Yeah, you are. You're thinking about it.
I am.
Wait, are they both successful now?
No.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
And and the other guys said no. They said walked away from it. And I was like, I don't have that option. I need the money. I mean, we were like, I was broke my whole time having kids. I remember watching Dane blow up. And I was friends with Dane, and I was excited for him, but I couldn't help but reflect that back on me and be like, when maybe like, I remember my wife saying, this is how bad it was. My wife said, maybe I'm bad luck. She said it to me.
Aww.
And I went, why? And she goes, I've always been poor my whole life. And when I met you, you had money and now you're poor. You've never been poor before and now you're poor. And then in my head, I was like, maybe she's bad luck.
Maybe kids are bad luck.
Yeah.
Kids are economically bad luck.
But then I think I got opportunities because I had kids. I think Aaron gave me opportunities to work at certain places because she knew I had kids.
Who's Aaron?
Aaron von Schoenfeld. She books all the improvs.
Right.
And I remember this guy, Pete, who owned the Houston Laugh Stop. When I moved over to the improv, he said to Ian Bagg, who did the same thing, he goes, yeah, but Bert's got a family to feed. And I remember being like, yeah. But like, I remember going to you'll never have to do this. You'll go to preschool for the first time and people will be like, oh my God, Natasha, Moshe, I'm a huge fan. I saw your Netflix special. You guys are fucking awesome. I love your podcast.
I hope we get a good recognition at preschool.
No, because I would go and people would go, I went to preschool. And it was Ben Savage. It was Ben Savage, Jay Chandrasekhar, Billy. Who did Steve Prefontaine? Billy.
I don't know what that is.
Steve Prefontaine. He played. It's not Billy Zane. It's Billy Crudup. Billy Crudup. These were the parents in the class. Nia Vardalos, and me, and then like other parents too.
Sounds like a pretty fancy preschool.
Yeah, and everyone was like, so what do you do? I'm a comedian. And they're like, oh, what have you been in? And I was like, nothing really. Like I had some shows back then, but I'm just doing the road. And it was like this really humbling, and then you try to be funny, and because you weren't like, I remember Ben Savage is a really good dad, right? And he's on the ground, he's playing with the kids, and everyone's like commenting about what a great dad he is, and he's such a great dad. And then he gets up and he walks away, and I go, he really is a great dad. And everyone's around, they're like, yeah. I go, it's pretty crazy considering who his dad was. And they're like, wait, who's his dad? I go, Randy Macho Man Savage.
I would have laughed.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They just go,
Jay didn't give
that
you
wasn't
a
his dad. And I was like, I was kidding. But it was like, I really feel like I really feel like I only got comfortable in this business last year. Like emotionally comfortable. Mm-hmm. Because I remember being there and being like, I'm just like a loser. We're poor. Like I always, like Segura is going to have fucking You're gonna go to school, and I guess I don't know. Like, do you feel that now? Do you feel like
I definitely don't care what people at preschool think of me.
Really?
Yeah, like cock of the walk, walking into the and going like, no, I don't know. I don't necessarily feel that. I don't know. I've gotten to the point where like so many people that started after me have whizzed past me, and so many people that have been doing it 20 years longer than me aren't as successful as they should be.
Yeah.
They're like, jealous, like, not that you're saying jealousy, but just like, that idea, like compare and despair.
I always compared myself to everyone.
It feels so arbitrary to me sometimes, success or failure, that I'm like, I can't even take it seriously. Like, there's so many people out there that I'm like genuinely like scratching my head, like, how are you a success? And I know for sure that there are people looking at me thinking the same thing, but it's just like, what the fuck do I care?
It is mind numbing. Because I feel like I was on the other side of the business for so long, and then to have just a little bit of success, to see certain people that you would never really give you the time of day come seek you out and talk to you, it's so weird. I feel like I'm a traitor.
Like, because you still think of yourself as like a grinder, but you're not grinding anymore.
Do you think you have impostor syndrome?
What's that?
Where you think that you're a fraud?
Oh, 100%. I'm fucking mildly tired. I sometimes will tell a joke and I go, I don't know why they're laughing. Like, I don't think it's that good.
Well, yeah, I think we all have jokes like that in our act where you're like, I'll keep telling it because it keeps working, but I know in my gut this is not funny. Yeah, There's no way.
I used to have a joke about they don't make black baby powder. How racist is that? And the punchline, this is the punchline. This makes no fucking sense. This makes no sense. The punchline was, when white guys get a rash, they put it on and it blends in. But when a black guy gets a rash, he's got to ghost ride the whip. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
No,
and people would laugh and I go, I don't know how I'm doing this.
It sounds like a joke.
Yeah, it sounds like a joke.
And isn't ghost riding when you like get out of a car and like come back in?
Yeah,
and you dance next to your car.
Yeah.
The nay challenge. Maybe you could update that joke. They got to do the nay challenge, and then you'll finally understand why it's so good.
God, I feel like
I think in this instance they might be wrong.
Do you want to know something funny? Do you remember Premium Blend?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Pat Buckles,
that was like an early stand-up thing where everyone got to do like 5 minutes.
Oh God, I used to be so jealous of people that got Premium Blend. I did Live at Gotham. I never did Premium Blend.
You didn't?
No,
for real?
and I would look at the people. This is how much the business has changed. Is people who used to get Premium Blend were like comedy gods to me. People that got a half hour were like, they were superstars.
Oh, don't even
and people
get me
that
on half hours.
And then an hour was like, you're Dave Chappelle, you're George Carlin, you're in the stratosphere. Now a half hour,
everyone's on their third hour.
Everybody's on working their third hour, and a half hour is like doing a spot on Premium Blend and doing I don't even know what the entry level stand up show is.
I think it's Instagram clips.
Yeah, right. It is. So you did Premium Blend?
Pat Buckles sat with me. This is when you talk about imposter syndrome and not knowing why I'm funny. Pat Buckles sat with me before the show and said, I have your transcript of your set. I'd like to go over it with you to make sure there's
the worst.
And she read my act to me. I'll never forget her. She looked at me, she goes, so my name's Bert. I know what you're thinking. Hot, sexy name. Bert.
But isn't that true? That's comedy though. Like
you might have been.
No, but there are comedians out there who like I could read their act from a transcript and it would be not as good as them, but it would be funny. I mean, if I read Anthony Jeselnik's jokes out of a notebook, people would laugh, right?
Yes.
And then there's people who just it's not like that. Like if you read your joke
they say things
or
funny.
Dalia,
not that you don't say funny
if I read
things.
Dalia's jokes out of a notebook, people would be like, I don't. But then it's a performance.
Yeah.
So you're just not a that kind of comedian. I'm not either.
I sometimes will not tweet it. I almost tweeted something the other day, and I go, I'm not going to tweet this because if I tweet it, it's racist. But if I say it, it's not. Like, because you can by my inflection, you can go, oh, I get he's joking. But like, I was just like,
was it white power forever? Is that what you were going to tweet?
No. Instead, I think that Asian chicks are like BMW 5 Series.
Okay.
I don't get it.
They're great. They're fucking awesome. But there's so many of them, you kind of just go, oh yeah, it's a 5 Series. Do you know what a BMW 5 Series is?
That sounds racist.
Yeah, I'm not positive it's gonna work. Well, I'm ready to see this.
It's well,
polish it off.
It's like there's just, I mean, Asian women are so hot, but like they're like BMW 5 Series. It's a great car, but at the end of the day, you're like, oh, it's a 5 Series. Yeah.
Oh, it's the tonal when you uptick your voice.
Yeah, you get up in your voice like that. By the way, that's not even the part that was racist. but yeah, I feel like that a lot. I remember submitting for half hours.
Oh yeah. I
remember and like putting cool music in the front with like my thinking they'll go, oh, that's a cool song. Oh,
like you were on the road and you recorded your set and you got the best one.
Oh, you put a little bumper music in it?
Yeah, like Bert Kreischer representation, and
did it have a gap in it? I submitted one with those once with a little edit mark, where I didn't have a 30-minute set, but I had a good 10-minute set, and then also a good 20-minute set. And I was just like, maybe they won't. That's 30 minutes of material. Yeah. Always a bad sign. Yeah, I had that too, though. You know, I succeed. It sounds like you were more of a success than you thought you were.
I think I was, but I
you
always
just had like 2 kids.
I also felt like I've always felt like an outsider. I've always felt like an outsider
in comedy. You're saying
100%. I still feel like an outsider.
I still feel like in my brain, like, because I was the last person in my whole group to make it. Who
was your group?
Like Ali Wong,
Brent
Weinbach, Louis Katz, Ryan Stout,
Sheng
Wang. Al Madrigal had just left. He made it. He wasn't in our group at all, but he was like one of the elder statesmen of the San Francisco people. Yeah. Arch Barker was kind of one of the older guys. Debbie Kamau Bell. Those were the people.
Any women besides Ali?
Any women besides Ali? That there were women, but I'm trying to think that people maybe would have heard of.
I only like female comedians.
But Ali was in there anyway. But they all started getting picked off, one by one. Like you used to have. I don't know what if you relate to this, but like what we were obsessed with. And now it's so meaningless. But what we were obsessed with was getting new faces at Just for Laughs, or getting Aspen when that was a thing, or getting an agent, or getting a manager, or getting a TV spot. Those were like the 5 holy grails of comedy.
Yeah.
And all of the people that I started comedy with got those things before me, and they started getting like whisked down to LA. And there was one manager that managed all of them. There was one guy that like would pick off. He's a major comedy manager, and he would pick off all these people. So he was my guy that I had my. I was like, that's the guy, right? He's got to approve of me, and that's my road. And I was sort of languishing in San Francisco, like nobody was paying attention to me, and I thought that I was good. I thought I was good, and I came down to do a series of sketches with Brent Weinbach. Do you know Brent?
Yeah.
Super funny dude. And he was managed by this guy. And the guy came up to me. At the same time, the one headliner that did me a kindness back then was Greg Behrendt. Greg, one of the greatest guys ever.
He's a very sweet guy.
Sweet dude, funny dude. He started having me open for him. And he recommended me to his manager, who was a manager at Avalon. And I was like, okay, great. But I really wanted this one guy. And she wasn't biting fully either. She was sort of like, flirting with me, like sort of dry humping me, but not allowing me in. And so this comedy manager came up to me and he goes, after we do these series of sketches that he had bankrolled, he goes, hey, you're really good, and if you ever need anything, please let me know. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this is my shot. Like, he's saying if you ever need anything. So yeah, because my rule was I wasn't going to move from San Francisco for no reason. I wasn't going to leave my home without one of the 5 things.
Yeah.
Like, unless I get one of the 5 things, I'm going to stay there because I don't want to come down in LA and just be anonymous and this sort of blank like fool. And he goes, if you ever need anything, let me know. And I say, well, actually, I go, I don't. Are you offering to represent me? And you can feel the chill just go through your.
By the way, this is so me.
The thirstiness of it.
Oh.
And I go, are you offering to represent me? And he says, no, we're not at that stage yet. But I would like to know. I would like to help you any way I can. And I'd also like to know, if anybody else ever comes after you, let me know. Right. And I was in my mind, what your mind now would say is, oh, this dude doesn't want to work with me. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
But in my mind, I was thinking, I fucking got him because I got the lady at Avalon who is kind of like flirting with me. Now I can manipulate him into forcing him into representing me. Yeah. Right. And I couldn't see. So I go, actually, yeah, there is somebody after me. There's somebody at Avalon who's sort of interested in me. And he goes, okay, let's make it official then. Like, to me, I couldn't see the massive red flag that was. That you're never supposed to be convincing a manager to work with you. They should be like chasing after you and going, please let me work with you. But I just thought like, I fucking got him. And I was like, yes, I have a manager. And like, I went back to San Francisco and I started walking around the punchline, like kind of different, you know? I'd be like talking about my manager a lot to my friends. Like, as much as my manager says, my manager, this and that. Fast forward 6 months, I made plans to move to LA. I was like ready to move to LA because I had this manager, and I was like, now I was not really focusing on the fact that he never had called me. He's never called me back. You know what I mean? He says he's going to submit me to things, but then I'll like ask him questions about the tape, and like it's very clear he hasn't watched it. You know what I mean? But I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is awesome. I've got everything I want. I got my 1 of 5, and that's in my in.
Yeah.
I'm almost literally packing up my car when I get a call from him. And he's like, I know you probably think I don't call you back very much. And you probably think I have too many clients. And you're right. And you're right about that. And it's my fault. And I'm sorry. And he fires me. I mean, he's never done anything, so it was a very low level.
This is as you were backing out of San Francisco.
I mean, kind of, right? I was pulling out from the Golden Gate Bridge.
Puts it in reverse. Oh, let me take this call real quick.
Yeah, it was like the 3 houses in Full House. I was pulling out from those houses, and he's like, ring a ding ding. But I was like, well, I guess I'll move because I have plans already, and I'd rather move to LA and fail than stay in San Francisco and definitely not have anything happen. I'd rather move there and try and fail than never try and guarantee to be a failure at this
Then you started dating me, and you got so lucky.
Well, that's true, but that happened way later, though.
How soon after that did you do Aspen?
Well, I moved to LA.
Moved to LA and then got Aspen?
Well, I did Just for Laughs, and this story is actually how I got how that happened. Is I moved to LA and I was kind of just as I feared. Like nobody cared about me. I was like I'd been this big fish in a small pond, and then I moved here and I couldn't even get stage time, and I finally through a series of events got an audition for Live at Gotham. And I walked in, and I remember actually I met with one other manager while I was down here, this manager at Roar, and the office, it was a Curb Your Enthusiasm sketch. The office, he was short, and the office was so small, it was like from a Wes Anderson movie. Like he was like in the corner, it was like a triangle office that was like 4 feet. You had to crouch to get into the office. And he called me and goes, just a little busy on the roster right now, not going to work out. I called my brother in a panic, like, I think I fucked up. I think I should have stayed in San Francisco. I don't know what I'm doing. So I got this audition for Live at Gotham, and I get there, and it's terrible. The crowd is dead. But everybody's eating shit. Everybody is dying, and it's this huge opportunity, and I'm in the back of the room, and I'm just like, fuck, I have to do this. Oh my God, I got to figure out a way to do this. I got to do well. I have to do well. And then right before I'm about to go on stage, after everybody's eating shit, person after person walks that comedy guy manager that fired me. And I was like, I gotta do well. Oh, gotta figure it out. Gotta figure out how to do well. And I get on stage, and I fucking murdered. Like I just those nights where you don't just do well, but you're the only person that does well. So
yep.
So somehow you seem like you're.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
And I was 7 years into comedy at that point, and it was a 7-minute set, and I always think about that. 7 years for 7 minutes, right? Yeah. In that night, I walk off stage, I'm like shaking with adrenaline. The fucking comedy manager that fired me walks right up to me, and he's just like, that was great, that was and I was just like so gratified that I could tell he thought in that moment that he had fucked up. And that night, I got an agent, a manager, and booked Live at Gotham and went to Just for Laughs, all from that 1 7-minute set. I got all 5 of the things because of one happenstance set at the Hollywood Improv one night where I just happened to have a good set. So I always think about that as like that seminal moment.
One set. This is going to sound not appropriate, Natasha, but do you feel like when you hear our stories as guys in comedy, do you feel like funny women, talented women have it harder or easier? Like talented women, not just women, like talented women.
I don't really think you can generalize it.
Is it you can't? Because I always feel like there's something happens to women that doesn't happen to men that is, I believe, is unfair. Where I feel like women, if you're a funny woman and attractive, you get thrown up so quickly onto places where you may not be ready.
You think it's easy? It's an easier road.
I don't think it's an easier road to be a woman in comedy. I do not think that. I mean, but I think that
to doors opening for you.
I think doors open that maybe you're not totally ready for as a woman or as a comic, not as a woman, but as a comic. Like, and that happens to young black dudes too. I think young black dudes, if they're funny, they're always looking for like the next Dave Chappelle. They're always looking for the next Amy Schumer. They're always looking for like that next. It's a theory I keep going over in my head where I go, if you had allowed, say, I'll just say Amy, because I'm friends with Amy, and I know that it wouldn't bother her that I say this. But if you had allowed Amy, and Amy's had amazing success and is so talented, but if you had allowed her to mature the way you do most male comics, where it's like it's going to be in it 20 years before anything happens, then it would be a different. I think her path would be different. Does that make sense, or am I just fucking out of my mind?
I guess I don't really see that. I always thought Amy was always working so hard. I mean, I know you're not saying she wasn't working hard, but I feel like she was in the trenches, and she did Last Comic Standing, and it's not like the Last Comic Standing was everything had happened. It was kind of a, I don't want to say a bottom of the barrel reality show, but it was whatever. It's when you look at people now on those reality shows, you don't think they're making it, do you? Yeah. When you look at, what's that show you keep watching? Bring the Funny.
Why we got to bring that up? Bring the Funny is the kind of newest iteration of Last Comic on NBC.
Really?
But it's a different. It's called Bring the Funny, which it gives you a lot of information about it. But
anyway, I just think the point is, to me, when I look at people on that, they're slogging, and I feel like Amy really went through the trenches.
I think she went through the trenches. However, I mean, I'm just being devil's advocate.
And she's really funny.
And she's really funny, but 3 years in, she's opening for Attell around the country, and opening for Norton around the country. Whereas I think most white guys, this is going to sound like a white guy complaining, and it's not what I meant this to be. But I feel like most white guys are just going you just become you're anonymous for 20 years.
Well, that's true. I think that's
most. I think most male comics are anonymous for 20 years.
I think that is an old idea, actually.
Really?
I don't even mean about gender and race. Yeah. I mean, I think that the idea, what I was just talking to you about, Premium Blend was this gigantic leap into a half hour, which was you were a star, into an hour, which was you're Kevin Hart. That's, to my mind, that's an old mentality. And
when I was 3 years in, all I wanted was a set at M Bar.
That's right, exactly.
I just thought it would be so, I wanted to be accepted there so badly, and that's just a local show in town. So.
I think it takes people less long to get attention and fame now than it did when we were starting. How long have you been doing comedy, Bert?
21 years.
That's true. I think now things go a little faster.
Things go much
maybe
quicker.
That's what it is.
It's because of the internet. No doubt that if somebody is a woman or a person of color or LGBT, they're going to get noticed in a different way than the anonymous slew of white people, because white boys, because that is the bulk of what people are staring at.
I mean, I remember the first time I saw Chelsea Handler do stand up, and I was blown the fuck away. And there's a thing when you see someone that pretty who's that fucking funny, you're like, oh my god, she's gonna be a fucking star. That's in your head. Or Fortune Feimster, and she, obviously gay and fucking hysterical, and you're like, oh my god, there's so many Jessica Kirson. Funny and gay. Those outliers just are so, as opposed to this slew of white guys all kind of doing the same thing.
I agree with you that as an audience member, I usually would rather see a woman. They're more interesting. Their point of view is a little more, I don't know. They're, especially, women who decide to do stand-up are sometimes like you said, the outliers. And they're like, they've been through more or they've been through a lot and they are here to talk about it. And I don't know. And they're pretty to look at a lot of times. So it's like, they are a little more fun to watch.
I do have this like sort of pity for, there's a lot of, pity is the wrong word, but like there's a lot of people out there who are technically good comedians and they're good. They do well, but there's just nothing to sink your teeth into. And I don't know that has really much to do with, it doesn't help. I would say it doesn't help to be a white dude, but it doesn't have much. It doesn't have only to do with gender and race, but it's more about like the whole name of the game with comedy is like who am I looking at? Like when I watch you do a set, it's like you're probably an extreme example of like I know exactly who this dude is. You know what I mean? Like I know what he did.
But you've been finding it more and more.
It took me forever to find it.
Like I'd rather watch. I mean, not than you, but like I love watching someone like Tig or Sarah Tiana or someone who's just got like a really strong point of view, like a woman.
But if I look at Bert on stage or I look at like Dalia.
And women are smarter too, so usually it's like more like their takes on things are like more interesting.
But I'm saying like those are like you guys are white guys, but there's no part of me that's just like here's another white dude. Yeah, it's like Bert's like this party animal, like. Dalia, he's this, bizarre observer of, this mega performer. You look at like Sebastian, that's a white guy who's like, you know who that is? He's this like incredulous Italian dude. Like to me, what is the death knell is like anonymous. It's like at the end of it, you go like, oh yeah, I guess that guy was funny. Like, what was his thing? That's the fucking death blow.
It's getting to, it's, I think the thing I'm trying to get at in my head, and I've had this theory for so long, is that like to find your thing that makes you interesting to an audience, like be it your hook or whatever, the thing where people go, I want to hear more from that person. I want to know his take. Like Sebastian. Sebastian really is, I mean, like a little bit of a fucking eccentric dude. He wears a chef outfit to cook. Like for real. I'm not even joking. Like I thought when I first
at home?
At home with Crocs on.
He puts
on. Were you there?
No. I follow his fucking Instagram.
But don't you think maybe he was just being funny?
No. The first time I ever met Sebastian, we were playing Home Run Derby. I swear to God, dressed all in black, knee-high socks, knee pad. I mean, it was like he was doing a character. It really was. And I started laughing thinking he was joking. And he wasn't. He wasn't joking at all. He was like moosing his hair. Like, it's him. It's so him. So like, the thing I think is like, I did not, like that special I did, Comfortably Dumb, that's just me thinking what I think people would like. Like going like Dane's got a joke like that. I could have one like that.
Yeah, but why'd you get the special? That's what I'm saying. It's like, if you're saying that's your moment of like, oh, I didn't know who I was, I hadn't figured it out. I'm kind of going like, I don't quite believe that, because why'd you get the special in the first place?
And how are you self-aware enough to call it Comfortably Dumb?
Right, like exactly. The title alone shows like, I know who this dude is. Here's a guy that's comfortable being like a meathead or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I think so I had a couple good jokes, but they only like two of them are in my voice that I have now. Like where I like my thing now is like I want to be able to write jokes that no one can write because they don't like it's not a writable joke for anyone but me.
So you don't have to worry about joke thievery because nobody could ever tell one of your jokes.
Yeah.
By the way, I tried doing Bert, that's a sexy name, at the Improv last week.
Pat Buckles gave it to him.
Yeah, I got nothing, dude. It got nothing. So you're right, that wasn't a funny joke. Yeah, I tried it, and it did. Well, Natasha's got one of the most developed characters in comedy, I think. I always thought that before we started dating. I would see you on stage and just be like, this girl knows exactly who she is on stage. Like,
well, I remember Bobby, because I hung out at the Comedy Store a lot when I started, and I remember Bobby Lee was always giving us advice, but one thing he said totally stuck, and he said, try to be funny before you start talking. And so that really like blew my mind because I was like, oh, I'm just supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
So like now I still do it whenever I go to the mic. Like it's always too tall and like I'll kind of fall and it's stupid, but I'm like flopping my body around and acting like dramatic. I mean, this sounds kind of hacky, but I don't know. I just do something naturally that always gets some kind of response, and I think that's at the best. It like puts me in the zone of like I'm supposed to be funny.
You're saying you're going, that sounds hacky. You're talking to a guy who takes his shirt off before he starts speaking.
Wait, what percentage of sets do you take your shirt off for? Headlining sets, 100?
100, yeah.
Have you ever not?
Closer?
Since you started, have you ever not?
No, no. I mean, I have at the store. Sometimes I won't.
Oh, right.
Like if I'm in the OR, I usually don't. Although if I'm nervous, I will. You can tell because I'm really uncomfortable.
What is wrong with you that when you get nervous, you take your shirt off? You are not a normal human being.
I'm very uncomfortable with the shirt on. Like I'm very uncomfortable. Yeah. And so like if I'm at the OR and I'm nervous, it allows me because I don't ever perform with the shirt on. So to perform with the shirt on, I feel like I'm really out of sorts.
I never perform with a condom off.
Dude, I almost put a condom on for that fucking bike ride.
Why?
Because my dick placement was inaccurate, and it was just rubbing against my pants, and I had put all this saddle chassis cream on, and so it was like super moving around, and I was like, oh my God, it's going to be rubbed raw after 65 miles. And I literally thought, I'll put a condom on, and then that'll make sure to be protected.
When we were in elementary school, we understood so little about condoms that there was a rumor that this one kid who was like we thought was sexually more developed than us was wearing condoms to school. We were like, hey, he's wearing a condom every day. He wears a condom. Like we had no idea what a condom was for. We're just like, yeah, man, Brian, he wears condoms all day long.
I was telling someone the other day, the first time I ever saw a condom was in Revenge of the Nerds. When they go, remember he brings them into the alpha alpha whatever, and there's a sheep, and he just goes, and 2 condoms unrolled come out like that. So that's how I thought you were supposed to put a condom on. I thought you had to unroll it because that's how.
And then just stuff it in.
And then and the first time I did that, and air was trapped. And so as I was at the foot of the bed, I was 17 years old, and I unrolled it all the way, and I went to slide it on like a sock, and it just kept inflating. And so it was, I'm telling you, man, that's why when we talk about sex, I got so fucked up by that first time I had sex. I did it so bad. I was traumatized that I really have not had sex with a lot of people because of that.
How old are you? How old were you?
I was 17.
Why was it traumatizing?
I finally figure out how to get a condom on. I get on top of her, and literally, as soon as it starts, it's over. Like just like one, and then I'm like, ah. She looks at me and goes, "Are you gonna put it in?" I've already come. My dick's between her butt cheek and the bed.
Hilarious.
I didn't even have sex with her. And then
that's very funny.
And then I had sex with her after I'd already compromised the integrity.
Oh, you went again. That's good.
It's like saying, "Hey, do you want to go on a hike?" And you go, "Yeah. Let me jump in the river with my boots real quick before the hike."
Wait, did you have to switch out the condom, or you went again in the same?
Wait, you went with the same condom?
I used the same condom.
No, you can't do that. I know
that now.
You get a dribble pregnancy. That's a bottom dribble. You don't want a bottom dribble child.
Panicked. I had panic attacks so severely. To this day, I can't smell the smell of Colors perfume because it reminds me of that night.
That's a perfume based on the Robert Duvall Sean Penn film Colors. Is that right?
Colors.
Yeah.
Wait, did you ever have sex with her again?
Twice more, and both just so bad. I was so bad.
Maybe she wasn't making you feel comfortable or guiding you in the right way.
Oh, when you're 17, how can you feel comfortable?
She was older. She had had sex before.
Were you comfortable your first time?
No, I cried.
No, you didn't really?
In the middle or after?
I was just like, oh, my mom's going to be so upset.
Oh, that's so hot.
Wait,
I bet that turned him on so much. I'm just saying.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you were thinking that.
I was thinking that. I was 16.
My friend had sex with a woman once, and in the middle of it.
But I had a boyfriend, yeah.
In the middle of it, she got up. Her mom had died recently, and in the middle of it, she got up and started running 360 around the bed, saying, "My mother is watching me. My mother is watching me."
You fucked a girl who did this?
No, it wasn't me. It was a friend of mine.
Well, Moshe has famously fucked 400 people.
Wow.
So I wasn't sure because that's a lot of people.
Have you had sex with a lot of people?
I've had, yeah.
He thinks it's somewhere between 300 and 400.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but probably.
Wait, how do you mean like, how? What were you, a camp counselor or something?
What?
Ew.
What is your mode of sexuality, Bert?
I don't even know.
What are you, a preschool teacher, a camp counselor? What kind of cockhound are you?
Did you have a Boy Scout troop? How do you get those numbers?
Well, I was.
You work at a neighborhood outreach program?
You work at a halfway house? Are you a defrocked priest?
You work
What's
at a
happening
better
with you?
women's shelter?
Are you at the Boys and Girls Club of South Slauson? No, I was. I started going to raves when I was 16. Yeah. And I spent like probably 10 years in that scene.
Andy was sober, so he was probably like his drug was pussy.
Yeah, my drug was pussy, which is the name of my memoir. But no, I definitely was sexually.
Yeah, I got a lot of babes.
I turn into Sebastian all of a sudden cooking. I fucked with a chef's outfit. But no,
I'm just roasting you because we have on our podcast because I said I had sex with I think 11 people, but it might be 15, but I hope it's 11 so he doesn't think I'm a slut.
That's so interesting that it just jumped 4.
Because I just I don't remember and I don't feel like counting them.
No, I always say like women would like to be able to have. This is such a generalization, but I feel like women would like to be able to have their partners like counted on 2 hands or at most 2 hands and 2 feet, and men would like to not be able to remember. Men would desire to be like, I don't know, I lost track in 2003. That's when I kind of lost track.
Yeah, Moshe has
mine's
game.
6.
6?
Yeah,
6.
Yeah, but I mean, but then I was telling it to someone else. I was telling it to Tom the other day. And then he was like, I think you've had sex with more people. Because
See, it's hard to remember.
Yeah. I mean, I just was so bad at it that I wanted to be in a relationship if I did it.
So you could get good at it in that relationship.
Yeah, and
that
be
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah. I wasn't someone who was just going to go, I couldn't understand those guys who have one night stands. I was like, sweet. You go and you perform to a stranger?
Well, that was the thing. I would say 80% of those women were one-night stands. People that, there are dozens of women, probably maybe more, that if they were on your podcast, I wouldn't, and we were talking this intimately, I would not remember them.
Moshe would have a girl who'd come over after a show and they'd give him a sugar scrub and feed him candy and then do things for him, and then he'd leave.
There was one.
Kind of had it made.
It was fun.
Back rubs.
But I know it's better now. I like it better now with you. I enjoy it more.
That's a good
I don't give you back rubs. Oh, I do sometimes.
No,
you guys seem like a really, really fun couple.
We have a good time. Yeah. Except when she brings up my your flings.
Sordid past.
Dude, I had one girl that I had like a long-term casual sex thing with a couple years. And she never mentioned that she was unhappy or that she was catching feelings or anything. It was always just like the most casual thing in the world. And I just assumed, because guys do that when we're in these like booty call situations, you kind of like try to assume like the best for your own moral sort of compass, Yeah. Oh no, they're good with this.
Yeah.
And she never said anything. And then one day, when we were done, she was like, I'm going to smoke a clove cigarette. Do you mind? And I was like, that's funny. I smoke clove cigarettes. And she's like, oh, really? Do you want one? I was like, yeah, I'd love one. So smoking a clove cigarette. Then the next time she's like, smokes her clove cigarette, she's like, I'm going to crack a Crystal Geyser, lime Crystal Geyser. And I was like, that's weird. That's my drink right there. She's like, oh, really? And then the next time she had gummy candy, and I was like, I love gummy candy. And then
this story is so weird.
And then the next time we went to have
also
sex,
also how you molest children, I think.
What she did to me. Then when I ended it, because one of the last times I was like, oh, where are the condoms? She's like, oh, they're in the top drawer there. And I opened the top drawer, and there's a stack of condoms, and next to it says, so you're thinking of converting to Judaism. And I was like, okay, you've been doing some research.
Maybe you didn't get the signs, though.
I'm sure I willfully ignored the signs. I do feel like that's what guys...
Why don't you think she was catching feelings
She never said a word. She never said a word.
She was waiting for you to make the move, bro, and you were every night fucking her.
I know. I do feel like that was... In retrospect, well, I don't know what I could have. What am I supposed to do?
I just don't think she seems this weird in this story. Because I've heard this story before.
So you're thinking of converting to Judaism next to the condoms? Like, I'm just going to be like, were you Were you thinking about
I'm Jewish.
the religion of my forefathers? Were you? Oh, well, how interesting.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
She probably thought you were her boyfriend.
No way. You think so?
I don't know. I don't know her.
Actually, yes, you do.
How long have you guys been together?
Oh, 7. I think
We've been married for 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years when we were together. I think 3 years before that, I think. So 7 years. This is by far the longest relationship I've ever had. By far.
Me
I'm
too.
at 17.
That's wild.
I've been married 15.
Do you recommend marriage?
I do. I love it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Are you happy, Moshe?
I will say that I am without hesitation infinitely more happy and satisfied and emotionally fulfilled in our relationship than I was like pretending not to notice that she had Swedish fish. Like there's definitely I say in my act like when you give up being promiscuous, you give up variety in exchange for depth. I was 20 years of dating and nothing ever went even a notch below the surface. I mean, even a little below the surface. I barely even knew these people. And now I wouldn't, no, I'm 100% happy.
What's your average day look like for you two?
For the two of us together?
Yeah, like walk me through like
a Saturday
like,
or like
no,
he's
like,
working and
let's do, I don't know, give me just an average day. Like give me a work day and then give me like a Saturday.
A work day, I mean, it doesn't, we're kind of like you, but there's two of us, right?
Yeah.
It's like every day is kind of different. I write on TV shows a lot. So like
I just saw you were writing on something recently.
I was writing on a show that's coming out soon on HBO called Betty, and a show about girl skateboarders. And then I was writing on Little America before that. This is coming out on Apple, which is about immigrants, and it's like an anthological story about immigrants, comedy kind of. It's a pretty cool show.
So we wake up, we fuck.
Yeah, for sure. We bone hard.
No, we wake up
I smoke a clove cigarette.
and
the baby wakes up first.
baby wakes up. I make Moshe. Well, it's been my kind of influence. I try to get us to turn off our phones for 15 minutes and have coffee and have a conversation.
Right.
So we'll throw our phones over. And then we hang out with our baby for about 7 minutes, and then the
Hand
nanny
her to
comes.
the nanny. I go surfing. Natasha gets a pedicure, and then that's the day. No,
A pedicure.
I don't think we have a typical day, really, do we?
I mean, I think that's one of the good things about being a comedian.
Yeah.
Is it's always different. And, now that we have a baby, we try to spend our weekends with the child and our mornings
We
and
went camping
our
this weekend,
evenings.
actually.
You went camping this weekend?
Yeah, we went
You guys
up-
have a camper van?
Yeah, I have like, well,
We have an RV.
Oh, you got to tell me about that RV story about that guy. I read that.
oh, that was so fucking annoying, dude. Yeah, I was like, I was gonna upgrade because basically,
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
I actually can't hear Moshe's RV right now. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I actually can't. Can he just go more into that origin story about him at the punchline? Are there any details he could fill out about that we didn't hit so that we don't have to talk about his RV, please?
Do you like camping, Natasha?
I do.
You don't seem like you'd like camping.
No,
though.
it's fun. You're so close to nature. It's amazing.
Well, this weekend we were up in kind of like a mixture. You probably like it actually because it's really good for families. It's this place called El Capitan Canyon.
It's in Santa Barbara, and you rent a little cabin, and it's all outdoor, and it's on a creek, and there's tons of families.
It's right by the beach.
It's littered with kids. Like there was a kid climbing in the tree outside of our cabin. Like
Yeah.
Really?
they're just
But it's kind of
everywhere.
fancy too, and there's massage, and it's a nice place to go, and it's so close. It's like an hour and a half away. It's fun.
Ocean. There's a pool. Yeah, so we took our kid there. She loved it. We put her by the campfire. Made some s'mores, roasted some salmon. It was wonderful.
Do you find I was never, I don't know if I've ever been a nurturing parent. Like I'm snuggly or I cuddle, I giggle, I tickle, but I don't know if I was a nurturing. Or do you find yourself? Are you a nurturing parent?
I am for sure.
I'm pretty like when
But
I
our
talk to my
kid's
kids.
young. I mean,
when I talk to my kids, I talk to them like they're adults. I've always talked to them like they're adults.
I do too, even with the baby actually, because
Yeah.
my mom always did that with me. I never got any baby talk my whole life.
I've never.
well,
baby
Moshe
talked my
didn't get.
kids.
You got sign language anyway because
Oh, that's
your
right.
parents are deaf.
Yeah, I think she was talking.
Wait, how
in
do
a-
you baby talk in sign language?
I think
don't.
you could. I think you could. I thought
it would be with your facial expression.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I just always remember my mom and my grandma talking to me like I was grown and could understand everything that they were saying, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like, I don't know, that seemed important for some reason. I think that's smart.
I've always talked to kids like they're adults, and I don't know why. So like,
I mean, that's modern parenting. That's like what all the modern books say. That's
for real?
Well, that's like trendy right now.
What?
To talk to your kid like they're a person, not like, how are you doing today? Like they say that that's kind of disrespectful to the
I
children.
actually kind of find it annoying too because I have some friends who like always talk to.
What
our
are you
kid
doing?
every
Baby
time,
talk.
and I almost want to be like, could you not talk to her like she's completely fucking stupid? Like what am I trying to model? What are we trying to model to her? But maybe I'm wrong because kids do like it. They do respond to that little like up talk or whatever.
My kids, I actually even took their names, and I called Georgia George her whole life, and I called Isla I. I just was
cool
like,
names.
yeah, I didn't name them.
Well, I think I was thinking while you were talking about how you were not a good dad, I was thinking about this.
I have a thought on this too. So you.
Oh,
go
you do?
first.
Well, it just occurs to me that like you're such
Because by the way, we do live relationship counseling, so
I know you guys
we are both kind of like into like, you know,
well,
psychoanalyzing.
yeah, right. Well, no, I was just thinking about it. Like, you know, like you're just so clearly a person that was born to perform and born to be on the road and born to kind of like be Bert, right?
Yeah.
And like you could have had a life where you squelched your instinct and stuffed them in and became
Super dad.
Yeah, super dad, false representation of who you are. And probably what that would have resulted in is you being miserable and you modeling misery to your kids and them being like, dad sucks, he's unhappy.
But now with your like joie de vivre.
Yeah, like so maybe they didn't get this typical like Bob Saget sitting on the bed every night saying like, are you okay, Full House dad?
Yeah, they did not.
They definitely didn't get that. But what they got, like just in seeing that Conan clip, because I really was like touched by that and thinking like, what an awesome father this person has. Even though I know you, it was like weird to watch you and go like, wow, this is such a cool, because you're like so masculine, but that is such a like nearly feminist clip. Like, you know, the way you talk about periods and stuff. It's like they got the dad they got. Everybody gets that, right? It's like everybody gets what they get, and like I kind of feel like you being super dad would have been much worse. You would have been a much worse dad.
Like if I was selling
dad.
boats and then just coming home being like, all right,
I love you guys so fucking much.
I think what's involved in that, because I have other male comics who've like kind of leaned more towards being more conservative, and I think the woman makes them, you know, kind of drags them more to the. So the fact that your wife gave you all that freedom, and I think that the weeks that you did spend with your kid, you probably were more present.
Yeah.
And because you were like following your bliss, you're teaching them to follow their bliss.
Right.
So
That's what I was thinking.
good.
It's like, what's better? A present, miserable dad who never did anything he wanted to do, or a mercurial, difficult to pin down, happy dad that models to you like you can do what you want and have fun and have a great life. I prefer
you can get paid to take your shirt off.
Yeah.
That's what you're modeling to your girls.
I remember the first time my oldest daughter wanted to watch my second special, The Machine. And she goes, "Hey, can I watch a little bit of that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll play it."
How old is she?
At the time, probably probably 11, maybe 11 or 12 maybe. And she goes, "Hey, can I watch a little bit of that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we were sitting in my bed and I played it, and I get up and I take my shirt off. She goes, whoa, you took your shirt off." And I said, "Yeah, I perform shirtless." She goes, "You do the whole show with your shirt off?" And I went, "You didn't know that?" She goes, "How would I know that? I've never seen you do stand up." And I went, "Hold on, you had no idea that I perform shirtless?" And she was like, "No, you did. People watch that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I played a little bit, and then immediately she hits pause. She goes, "You're never showing this to Isla." And I was like, "Oh no, Isla will never see this." Because I just trashed Isla the whole.
Oh really? Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah.
What do you trash your daughter?
Yeah, but like in a fun way. But like, yeah, I call them idiots and dickheads and like. But like, I think when your kids get older.
But Isla can now see it.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's become problematic.
Does she hate it?
No, she doesn't hate it. But I have to run things past her now.
Oh, really?
Because things will come up that are fucking like period party.
Was
like,
that Isla or
that's Isla? Isla's the really. I mean, like they're both great kids. But Isla's really bizarre, like just a really bizarre person, and her brain works in a way that like no one's brain works like that. And so, I mean, I'm sure other people do, but like I've never witnessed it. And so it was very easy to get material out of her. It was
right.
like, I mean, one of the jokes I told on that special, I think on that special, on the most recent one, was just a true story of her coming into my bedroom in the middle of the night, waking me up and going, "Hey, Dad, do you believe in time travel?" In the middle of the night. And you're just like,
that's very
what
funny.
The fuck? And then, like, and it was just like she keeps her deodorant in the refrigerator. Like, just
why?
Like an eccentric human.
Why does she keep her? I mean, she must have a reason.
She would put deodorant and rub it on her lip like this.
So she didn't sweat?
No, because she couldn't trust that everyone else was going to wear deodorant. So that way she could.
I think I like her. She seems cool.
She is really an interesting child.
How do you foster that? Do you get her involved in like?
Nothing. You can't.
Wait, so has she seen the Conan clip?
She saw the period. So she gets her period. Obviously, she did not want to get her period, and then throws a period party. I put it on Instagram too. I Instagram the whole thing. And then that night, I get in bed, and she comes in my room. She's like, "Hey, can you take that off Instagram?" And she was cool with it at the time. I go, "Yeah, why?" And she goes, "Well, I think we think it's funny, but I don't know what kids at school, if they see it, what they'll think. I don't want to get made
That would be
fun
so
of."
funny if you said no.
I was like, "Honey,
Daddy's got a brand.
It's kind of trending right now." So, and so then I did a bit that next weekend about the period party, and it did really well. So I come back, I go, "Hey, I got it. I told a joke about your period and about the period party." And she was like, "Okay." And I was like, "And I'm doing Conan in a couple weeks. And I'd like to do it on Conan." She had no frame of reference for what Conan was, by the way. It's like me going, it's like telling, like a child, "I'm doing it on Conan." She's like, "Okay, cool." So then I do it, and they watch it that night, and it starts, and Isla hits pause with Leanne and Georgia and goes, "He's making fun of us." And my wife goes, "Yeah, baby." And she goes, "Why?" She goes, "Well, not a lot of people have period parties." And she goes, "I thought everyone had period parties." My wife's like, "No, baby, that's the way your brain works, is that you wanted to have a period party." But like, why it's funny is that not a lot of people have ever thought that way.
But I thought that kids have period parties.
Kids do
now.
have period
like
parties.
I heard that my friend, her kid goes to school and the girl got like a $900 purse for her period.
Oh, I didn't. Isla didn't get any presents. She just got a red velvet cake. But
red velvet cake.
Yeah, with her name, she named her period Jason because she got it on Friday the 13th. And so, but that's the way her brain works. And so,
right.
And my wife's like, "No, but by Daddy making fun of you, he's celebrating you. It's like his way of like saying how cool this is. He can't just go out and just say it the way you think he should say it." And then the next day, the clip went viral, and all these little girls started emailing Isla.
Really?
Yeah, and being like, "Hey, thanks for letting your dad talk about your period on TV. I got mine, and I was super freaked out, and my dad threw me a period party, and we welcomed Daryl to the family."
That's awesome.
And so
it was all positive.
It was all positive. But at first, she saw that, and she was like,
she didn't understand the language of comedy
she didn't
to know
understand
this
comedy.
wasn't mean
It's
or
so
whatever.
scary because like you want to protect your kids too. So I think I would really struggle with that.
It's tough now.
Because that's what's happening to you. You want to talk about your kids, just like I want to post pictures of my kids, but then I'm like, wait, I want her to have privacy.
Oh, I see. I've fucking way past that. Like I've been posting videos of my kids forever, and then I was talking about them, and then when the special did well, all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, I know Isla," and like people will stop Isla and be like, "Isla."
Is that creepy?
Very.
To you?
Very.
That's
I've had people in the grocery store ask to get a picture with Isla, and I'm just like, please don't do that.
So what do you do then? Do you try to step back a little bit from talking about them?
No, I mean, I don't know how to do it any other way.
Right.
Like I just know to talk about my life, and so it's like I don't, and I also now I'm self-conscious because I don't really talk about Georgia much because Georgia's just like a regular,
right?
Like she's only got like one good bit in her, but yeah, we went to Comic-Con and Isla it was not an enjoyable experience for her.
She didn't enjoy it
because I got stopped. Maybe, I'm not even joking, maybe 500 times.
Oh, it's almost as much as Moshe's had sex.
Yeah, we each have our thing, Bert. People enjoy your comedy. People enjoyed my dick once upon a time.
But they would immediately recognize me, and then they'd look and they go, "Oh, this is Isla in Georgia."
So they recognize you from your special?
Yeah.
At Comic-Con?
Oh, God.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like that because I thought it was more like people were recognizing people from their favorite dorky TV show.
This is the reason the people who go to Comic-Con to look for celebrities, a lot of them. And so if I'm not saying I'm a celebrity, but if you are recognizable, especially if you're on Instagram a lot or like I am or on Netflix, people are just looking for celebrities. So it's a really bad place to go. Like, even if you're like, be great celebrity, you're going to get recognized a ton because that's all people are there for, really.
Right. They have all the autograph hounds are there.
Yeah, all the autograph hounds are there. And then
that's the other thing to that 20-year thing you brought up earlier, like how it used to take a long time. The reason I think it used to take a long time is that comedy just wasn't that popular.
It's so popular right now.
Yeah, when we started, I mean, you started like probably 3 years before us, right? You about 17 or something?
I started in 2019 or 2001.
2001. I started probably 2002. And like, it wasn't cool to be a comedian. Like,
No, I had a very small group of people that I started with, like Anthony Jeselnik and Morgan Murphy and Jen Kirkman, and we all kind of started together and we're at the shows all together. And
like, the cool kids in comedy, like they were being cool kids in comedy. It wasn't cool to do comedy.
No, they were just, I was like, who are these people? I guess we're all the same.
In Oakland, when I would like the way that I dressed, the way that I looked, if I would tell people I did stand up, I would get like a straight up blank stare. Like, what? Like, the person who looked like me should have been a DJ. That's how it feels. Is what DJing in the early 2000s is what being a comedian is now. Like, every single human being is a stand up comedian.
But every single human being is also a DJ.
That's true. But I think it's true. There's a lot of DJs out there. So that's what made it
This is how popular comedy is right now. Comedy is so popular that Hannah Gadsby does the opposite of comedy, and it's popular. Like, she's doing what, like, I just read a review of her new one, Douglas.
Oh, the New Yorker piece?
Yeah. I didn't read the whole time. I'm not a good reader. But, like, I read that it's good, that it's interesting. I'm like, oh, cool, I can't wait to see it.
Uh-huh.
But, like, they say, she's doing anti-comedy. She broke comedy. She killed comedy. Like, that's how popular comedy is. There's a comedian out there that's not doing comedy, and it's still a comedian. Like, that's fucking insane.
I did think that people's reaction to Hannah Gadsby's show was, to me, I was like, people got so mad. Like, people in the comedy world got so mad about it. That, to me, all it did was show how insecure comedians are about their own art form. Like, that one person can do, like you're saying, a kind of like flipping the tone of comedy and do a show that's kind of like decidedly like going in the opposite direction. It's like, no one says you need to like this special. But the fact that, like, I see people to this day, people that we work with, like on Facebook, like, the fucking piece of shit, shitty fuck. I'm just like, how insecure are you about your own comedy that this person, like, how many bad specials are there out there? There's so many bad specials out there that no one mentions. It's like, who cares that somebody is like going in a different direction and doing something that's tonally not what you want? Like, how many specials are there?
Definitely struck a nerve.
She struck a huge nerve. She really
struck a nerve. That, like,
and that has to do with timing and where the world was at, and people are angry, and maybe it's just like,
I think it's also I think a lot of people misplaced their emotion onto Hannah Gadsby.
Yeah.
When it was, in fact, they should have been angry at those journalists who were writing articles saying comedy's dead.
That's for sure true, and she's not necessarily responsible for the reaction.
She's just doing what you're doing, Bert, and what you're doing. You're just
performing with
yourself.
her shirt off. Yeah, taking her shirt off as a headlining show. Yeah,
doing what she knows, what she wants to do.
But also,
and that's what art is. You express yourself.
And there's another layer to it too that I think people were reacting to, which is that this, and I think it's a pretty foolish notion, but I do understand where it comes from. Is people are feeling like, as comedy becomes more and more popular, more and more people feel like comedy is under siege, right?
Yeah.
And like, I actually do think that comedy I don't think comedy's in trouble, but I think that comedy has an outsized percentage of focus on it. Like, why has there been so much focus on what comedians are saying, what problematic jokes comedians are making, when there's like, there's so much horrible shit in the world that, like, people that, listen to heavy metal or listen to gangster rap, it's like every single song is like, decapitation and getting your dick sucked and tossing somebody out of a cutlass, right?
It is pretty astounding to me that the same microscope that's on comedians isn't on hip hop at all.
It's wild for sure. And so I get that. Like I get why that would make a person feel insecure when it's like every article, there's a million articles about how comedy's changed and comedy, you can't talk about this on stage anymore and blah, blah, blah. But what I see in reality, all these people out there that are like rallying for the cause, like God forbid I'm ever out there like trying to pretend that doing comedy is like a righteous and like moral. It's not. To me, it's not. It's fun. I love it. I care about it almost more than anything else. But I don't think it's one of the foundation principles of a free and open society. It's like I love doing it. I love when people laugh. I love making people laugh. But like to me, it's not as important as what a lot of people are doing. Like somebody working. A public school teacher, it sort of feels like more important than what we're doing. Maybe I'm overstating.
I'll tell you what though. Every now and then I've had like people. I never thought comedy was like. I never really put much thought into anything. I'm always shocked people care about things. I'm always shocked. Like I have such little introspection sometimes that I just am living in the now. I'm like a goldfish, and so. I never really put any thought into comedy, and then one day I did this set in Flappers, and it wasn't even that great. But this lady who's on my wife's podcast a lot, but is our neighbor, and I've known her for a long time. Our kids are friends. Her name's Jeannie. She came up to me and she said, I haven't laughed since my dad died. My dad died like a month ago, and I haven't laughed. And this is the first time I laughed. And when I laughed, I really forgot about my pain. And so thank you. And I was like, oh, cool. You just kind of get a compliment. You're like, yeah, cool. And so then like a week later, we think we're going to have to put Priscilla down because she's had fucking 5 knee surgeries. And I'm on my treadmill and I'm watching TV and I'm really upset about...
Is Priscilla your mother?
No, my wife.
I love that you like first name everybody.
No, it's our dog. And so our bull mastiff. And so the doctor calls and says, hey, we just got a surgery. She's still under, but we're, this other ACL is torn and now the kneecap's over to the side. And so, we want to know if you want us just to put her down or to fix it. It's going to be like another $7,000 to fix it. And I'm like, motherfucker. And so I'm back here and I have this information. I haven't shared it with Leanna, the girls. And I'm sad thinking, I don't want to put this dog down, but this is going to be a lot of money because now I'm sure the other leg's going to have the same problem. And it ended up being a lot of fucking money that we spent on this dog. And I'm really sad. And I'm on the treadmill. And Greg Giraldo's on the thing. And Giraldo just makes a joke. And I don't remember the joke, but I laughed and I forgot about Priscilla for a second. And I went, fuck, is that what we do? Like, oh my God, I just forgot about that. Shut up. And then I just went in and I told the girls what happened and then we decided not to kill her. But I do think that it's important, but you're right. No, you're right. It's like I think of all the people, we just did this ride. That ride was for the families of fallen first responders.
Right.
Those guys' jobs. So much more important.
Right. I think that's what I was trying to get at is like, I have very little tolerance for comedians who think that we're heroes because we do comedy. But I also was thinking about it even as you were saying it. You're right. There is something intrinsically very beautiful about the fact that people travel around the world just trying to make people have a good time and laugh. And, like we watch Great British Bake Off, sometimes.
I've never seen that. Everyone talks about it.
Well, the thing that its value is, we're living in this time of like unbelievable like chaos and ideological battle lines being drawn, and everybody hates everybody, and everybody wants their political adversaries to like suffer, and like
and even the left is all the infighting amongst everyone.
It's not just right versus left; it's left versus liberal and right versus alt-right, and everybody. It's just a swirling fucking flaming mass of chaos. And like Great British Bake Off, you turn on an episode and it's just some fucking fuddy-duddy grandma from Leeds on Lancashire or something
and saying it's overdone.
You're just saying like, oh, the sponge here is a little. Speaking of which, we're coming to the Soho House in London, August 13th through the 17th. But anyway, like there is.
Oh, you're gonna. Are you doing a lot of dates over in?
Yeah, we're doing like
6 nights. I
think?
6
nights at the
London?
Soho House
are
together.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How great's that going to be?
We're really excited.
That's a great fuck. I've never played there, but I've never even been there. But all I know is
never done England at all?
No, I did England.
You just did it, right?
Yeah, I just did. I just did 5. I did 5 different cities. But
awesome.
I've always heard the Soho House. The Soho's.
Yeah, we're excited. It's intimate too, and we do a really fun show where we like. Tasha, you saw the special.
I do a half hour, he does a half hour, and then we do our live relationship.
Yeah, we like
counseling.
bring couples up and roast them live.
That is going to be so fucking awesome.
And as you can see, we're really good at offering advice and insight.
But there's something about and I think probably that's what comedy does. Even if you're seeing a really political comedian, even if you're seeing like a really edgy comedian who's maybe talking about the darkness and the human soul, right? Yeah. You're still just like having this sort of. So I take it back. It's got a great deal of value. I think stand-up's got a great deal of value. I just don't think it's heroic to be a stand-up comedian.
I do.
You do?
No, I know. No, I think it's good to follow what it is you're good at.
Right.
Yeah, I think I was always shocked at the people who were most offended by Hannah Gadsby were the people who tell the most offensive jokes and always go, "Hey man, if you don't like it, change the channel."
Completely.
It really blew my mind.
Anything goes. Anything goes. No holds barred. Except no nanette. No,
I don't like that. I don't like that.
That bar has been
I
held.
thought that was so fucking comical.
That's so true.
Because I watched it, and there were times where I was like, I am probably a problematic person because I love hearing opinions I don't agree with.
Sure, me too.
Like, there's a woman I would love to have her on my podcast. She would never come on my podcast. By the way, I'm liberal, but I will always say, and that's the problem with the left, because, and I said it to my sister. I got a fight with my sister this past weekend. But that's the problem with the left is that she just assumes I'm one thing, so she would never want to have a conversation with me. But there's this woman, Lindy West. I've reached out to her a couple times. And she did this great fucking thing on NPR where it was, I think it was on This American Life.
I know the one you're talking about.
And it was so
about being fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm fat. And I was like, I would love to talk to her and explore that. But here's the problem, and I don't blame her. Sometimes if you're not whatever, I've had people on the podcast where they're different minded maybe than my fans, and they just get shit on, and you're like, I don't blame her for going like, I don't want to be put through that. Like, I don't need a fucking list of like I'll tell you what, I posted something about Whitney's special on my Instagram today, just say, hey, Whitney's special streaming now, and I didn't read the comments. I never read the comments, but the first comment, the one that shows up under the picture, goes, wow, a lot of angry virgins on this chat thread. And I went, why would you do that? She's my friend. I've had her on the podcast. Like, did you need to like trash her in the comment sections?
It's funny that you
They'll
mentioned
trash no matter what though, or the
internet is a dark place, man.
If I put a picture up of like I've never been a brand loyal comic. Like there's certain brand, like if I put a Sober October post up, they'll have a fucking blast with it. But like there's certain things that, like I put a picture of, I did a video of me and my daughter shooting guns. My daughter pointed the gun at me on accident, and I was like, "Hey guys."
Now you're getting hate from both sides.
Yeah,
because
I was like,
the anti-gun people are mad at you, and the pro-gun people are mad at you. That's a bad week on the internet.
And so I just put it up there, and I was like, it was like 1,400 comments, and I was like, staying away from that fucking section.
I mean, you asked at the Natasha earlier, like, do talented female comics get more opportunities faster maybe than their like some white male counterpart?
Yeah.
And maybe they do, but also there's the other side to it. There's another side to it, which is you post one thing about Whitney's special and there's like 1,200 comments that you can only, we could write
so many podcasts when I do it, like so many of the comments are like, there's no funny woman, there's maybe Mrs. Pat, but that's it, or Miss Pat. Like I just remember people like whenever we do I don't want to say. But
yeah, I know what you're saying. I already know what you're saying.
There can be dark weeks on
the internet. Just because you're a woman.
So like, and I say this in a way that like, you're so fucking funny. Like having you two on the podcast, the first time we did it with both of you guys, I could not stop laughing at like your sidebars into every conversation. And whenever you're on Rogan, when you two were on Rogan together, it was so fucking funny. Then you'd be like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about this UFC. Which is Joe's life. I could not stop laughing. So I wonder if it's...
Oh, but that, like, people don't love that.
But it is
How
true.
do they not find that funny?
Well, people are
They're
like...
serious.
But that Lindy West thing that you were saying... I actually do. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Why she might be interested in having I know her, but I'm not super close with her. But I follow everything she does because I think she's a really talented writer and really interesting. And even when I don't agree with her, I'm like intrigued by her ideas.
I like that. I like hearing things I don't know about. And so when I watched Nanette, I was like, number one, I was like, wow, Tasmania must be filled with fucking savages.
It seems like a country ass, some backwards ass shit.
I mean, it is called Tasmania.
It's like the one representation is the devil that...
No, but now you've got another one, which is Nanette.
Yeah.
Those are the two media representations of Tasmania.
Poor Tasmania needs a fucking facelift. When I was in Australia, I almost flew down to Tasmania and did a special of all my old stories that aren't on specials that were just podcast stories.
Yeah.
That I never released and called it Live from Tasmania.
That's awesome.
And then the other part of me was like, I bet they would love my comedy.
I bet, yeah.
If based on what Nanette said, I think they would love me.
You know, the Tasmanian devils are all dying. Do you know about this?
No.
They're all dying because the way they fight is they like gnash faces, and they have this is the scariest thing I've ever heard. They have a form of contagious face cancer. Contagious cancer. Can you imagine? You get into a bar fight and you get like fist cancer. Imagine that. That's what. Then they're all dying, and all the koalas are dying of chlamydia. So anyway,
I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew that.
it's a dark day in Oceania.
We have,
I was gonna say, Lindy West, that special. I'm not a big fan of like limits on my comedy. Like unless they're organic to me. If I don't feel comfortable telling a joke anymore, then I don't want to tell it. Yeah. That special, episode of This American Life really made me think like, I don't know that I want to do fat jokes anymore. Listening to it just was like, not that no one should. I mean, everybody who wants to. But for me, I was just like, it was such an effective podcast episode that I was like, I think I'm done with that. Because it's so intense.
It's not like you'd make fat jokes.
I had one. I had a really a really good bit actually. Actually, I still stand by the bit. It's a very funny bit. Yeah. But I was just like, I don't know that it would be worth it. It just for me, like I wouldn't fault another person if they were telling if I saw them do. You want to be
part of any kind of regression. Like you want to be a part of like the solution.
Whatever it was, it hit me in the gut. I shouldn't have said that, but it hit me in the area where, at any rate, and I was just like, I think I might be done with that bit. I think
I am like when you hear a lot of the internet saying, nothing's off limit in comedy. I agree.
Right.
I reserve the right to talk about anything on stage, but there is a thing that I've realized that since I've gotten older is like, I also don't want anyone leaving my show feling like total shit.
It's a balance, man.
Like
right?
it's not me. By the way, and I'm not saying Jesselnick or Tosh or all the great Bert, all the great guys who are edgy as fuck, that if they're cool with it and they're cool with that transaction.
But people who are coming to see any of those people are up for it.
If you go to a Jesselnick show and you leave hurt, it's because you didn't fucking Google who you were going to see. Like you fucked up.
Maybe you were like an elderly woman who wanted a night of comedy and doesn't have access to the internet.
So you thought you'd go to a theater show with an hour of one comedian only. It's just such a bizarre idea. Like who's going to that show? Yeah. Who's going to a Jim Norton show and going like, I had no idea, But and it is a balancing act though, because it's like we all know, like, yeah, you're a very jovial comedian, and like, and I'm not jovial on stage, but I'm certainly never trying to like hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm also not trying to, compromise the comedy. But we also, on the other hand, all had the experience of a person sitting in your show laughing at this joke, and they laugh at your BMW joke, and then they laugh at this joke and that joke, and then the minute you get to your dog bit, they're like, I like dogs, and then they start like. Tosh used to have this great joke about getting an AIDS test at the DMV. You remember that joke?
Oh my God. I opened with it one time in New York, and this girl stands up and she goes, because I said something like...
You didn't open with it. It was into your set. That's what I remembered.
It was at the top. It was like the beginning of my set, but I said, I don't even remember the joke. Waiting in line at the DMV is worse than finding out you have AIDS.
It was something about they do AIDS tests in the line at DMV, and what's worse than waiting in line is at the DMV is finding out you have AIDS when you get to the front. Something.
Yeah.
Anyway, this girl stands up and she's like, "My brother has AIDS," and she like got her whole table to leave.
Yeah, and it's like, everybody's had that experience of like, this joke's okay, and this joke's okay, and this joke's okay, and that joke applies to me. That's the one that's not okay. So it's a balancing act.
But also, it reminded her of her brother, and I felt bad, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think we've learned a lot. I think that we just have to be ourselves.
Right.
And try to take into consideration other people and just spread joy.
I had a joke. I had a rape joke that I still to this day think is so funny. And I told it at the Brea Improv for the first time, and it murdered.
What's the joke?
The premise is I was watching Locked Up Abroad.
Love that show.
I love that show. And it was about this couple in Chechnya who were running an orphanage, and Chechen rebels came in and took the kids away and then held the couple hostage for like 6 months. And I'm watching this, and I'm watching it with my wife, and then I'm like, they held them. There's a guy and a girl, and they held them hostage. And then they go, and 6 months into being hostages, they raped the woman. And I was like, fucking finally, like what? Like as her husband, you got to be like, what? It took you 6 months. I fucking married her. Like, and so like, it's just, I'm not doing it justice right now, but it murdered in the room. The whole premise was, anyway, I'm not going to get into it because all I know is that I got off stage. I was proud of the joke. I was like, that joke, I can figure that joke out.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good. And in my head, I was like, I got a rape joke. And Matt Fultron just goes, I go, did you hear that? And he goes, yeah. I said, what'd you think? He goes, I thought it was funny. I said, yeah. And he goes, yeah. But you got to remember, there's probably a woman here got straight up fucking raped and did not enjoy that joke. And I went, huh? And he goes, yeah. I mean, like, you probably ruined someone's night. And I went, huh. I never looked at it that way. I just looked at the people laughing and the idea that I had a new premise. And then I went, well, my goal is never to like, I mean, if you get offended by something ridiculous,
right,
then I can't help you there. But like, my goal is never to be like,
making people have a worse time for coming to see it.
Yeah, and I've done that a bunch. I've done that a couple times where you take a swing at something, and that's fine when you're trying to figure out material. But if it's in your act and you're like, I stand by this, then I mean, you can do whatever you want as a comic, but it makes me uncomfortable.
No, I hear you. Like, you shouldn't be standing by something because you have a principle of I stand by everything. You should be standing by it because you genuinely think like, this thing is funny and I believe in it. Like, I got stuff in my first special. It's actually funny, when we did our special together on Netflix, it came out, and then my old special from like 7 years earlier got re-licensed by Netflix, probably because they put ours out, and then they put it out, and people were like, oh shit, new Moshe Kasher special. And they were like watching it. It was very funny to me because it's like, it's me 7 years ago, and I stand by everything that's in there, but that doesn't mean I would tell all of those jokes now. Because I've changed and the world's changed, society has changed, and there's stuff in there that I'm like, well, that's me 7 years ago, but it ain't me now.
I won't let anyone watch that.
Right.
I don't like, I'm not embarrassed of it. There's stuff I'm proud of, but there's stuff where I would never tell those jokes now.
Right.
We've just been doing a podcast for an hour and a half. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know.
I knew only because I haven't eaten.
You haven't eaten. Well, I'll get you guys out of here.
Well, can we tell you about our podcast quickly?
Yeah. I just started it. You just started it, what, like a month ago?
Yeah, it just came out. Like we have 5 episodes out now, so it's officially bingeable. But it's called the Endless Honeymoon Podcast, and it's Tasha and I kind of doing what we do on stage, but bringing it like sort of.
We take calls.
We take live relationship calls.
Can I tell you the promo you did when you were walking your daughter? Yeah, I'm a promo whore, right? Like, I'm a promo whore. The promo you did where you started off the number and you said the last 4 numbers, you guys were walking together. It was such a good fucking promo.
Oh,
really?
Oh, because it's real, it's natural, it's in the moment, it doesn't, and it was just a good back and forth, and I was like, oh, I saw that, I love that.
Yeah, we have
That's
like
so sweet.
We have 2 segments, which are the calls, and we do like live relationship counseling, which is really fun because it's like endlessly interesting what people are going through out there, and it also is fun because it's like we're not talking about Trump. Yeah. We're talking about like what people are dealing with in their regular lives. And we just had this awesome call last week where it was like this woman who was struggling with, she's in a full-time dominant submissive relationship with her husband, full-time, meaning they don't have an off time. It's like, even when they're out at a party, he's like, oh, we don't do carrots, and she's like, yes, sir. But they have a 7-month-old. And they were like, how do we keep our full-time sub-dom relationship going without our 7-month-old eventually being like, Mommy, why do you have a horse crop in your mouth?
So
like,
me and Moshe and then Emily and Kumail Nanjiani were on it because we have other couples sometimes, and we all kind of roasted the woman.
Yeah, it was very funny. And
but also we figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out with them, which was, it was fun to figure it out because it's like, I don't have any idea.
What was our thought? It was that they need to have some limits, right? Like they're all about limits. So why not have a limit where the submissive thing turns off in the day? They need to have hours.
That was the part I didn't relate to. Is like, how horny are you that you need your sex life to be 24 hours a day?
Yeah, but that's that.
Well, they're kinky. They're like, it's a lifestyle, I think. So it's like usually people like that don't have kids. Or
exactly. And we said like, yeah, you got to have some, obviously parenting is about sacrifice, except for you, Bert. Parenting is about sacrifice. So
my wife and I have to come on your podcast.
I would love that. Would you?
Yeah.
100%.
A lot of comedians are like protective of their spouses, and they're like, they don't want that. So that would be so awesome if you guys came on. We would love that.
Dude, my wife was on Dr. Drew and just
perfect,
trashed me.
That's
like,
awesome.
And I was like, and it was for the first time.
Sorry, your producer gave me a snack bar.
For the first time in a while, for the first time ever, I felt what it must be like to be my family member.
Yeah.
Because I do that to them all the time. It's all honest shit, and it's funny, but like,
I would love to have you guys come on, because it's just like people are out there living and suffering and enjoying their lives, and like, it's really fun to kind of like do something that doesn't have anything to do with the political cycle,
Speaking of which, who are you guys going to vote for in Democrats, do you think?
We're voting Trump, baby.
Trump.
We're on the Trump train, dog. Who are you, bro?
I'm going Trump too.
I don't know. Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders represent my political aspirations the most, and I'm sort of personally over voting for people because of their personalities. I think it's time to start voting for people because of their policies.
Yeah.
I read this interesting article today, too, that said that the liberals need to stop defending themselves to Donald Trump, too. Like, he's stating all the terms that we're fighting on, and he's trying to make all the liberals seem like they're part of this group, whereas, like, just bring indulge him for a second, answer his question, but then bring the conversation back to, like, what really matters.
I mean, not to get...
And that's what nobody's doing.
Totally. Like, you can't... The Democratic Party has not figured out that being against Trump is not enough. It's not enough to not like that guy. You gotta.
That's what he wants. That's his terms. Make it all about him.
You know what I would do?
That's all he's trying to do. He's winning.
I'd go up there, and if they were like if I was the Democratic nominee, every time he say something, I just laugh. I go, I fucking love this guy.
Yeah,
this guy
really kills me. This guy kills me.
Yeah,
you believe this?
Or a person that just keeps saying,
you try to belittle him.
Oh yeah,
but first of all, I got to be honest with you. I'm so far out of politics that like. It is fascinating to watch him do what he's doing and see no repercussions.
Oh, it's wild.
No,
he's
fucking insane.
He's ripped the space-time continuum. Like people keep trying to play the game that we were playing, 5 years ago, but the game we're not there anymore. Somebody needs to go there. I fucking love this guy, or just keep saying, "Oh, shut up, Donald," and get back to your point. If just somebody
or
did
talk
that,
to him the way he's talking to them.
Yeah,
everyone's trying to be like grown up talking to him.
We're done with grown up.
He's going to win.
There is.
I called it last time. I said Donald Trump's going to win. I guarantee he wins again. I guarantee the Democrats are so spread out across, and it's such identity politics where. The black candidate, the gay candidate, and no one wants to be on the same team.
I'm not sure I agree with you, and I will tell you why. Do you have to get out of here?
Yeah, we can wrap this up.
Tell your political.
I'm not sure. I think he's got it's very possible that he could win.
Yeah.
I mostly agree with what the kind of framework of what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you have to remember the unbelievably fragile margin by which he won before. Like
by the way, I don't know any of that. You're right.
But he can still win even if he doesn't win the popular vote by 5%.
Completely. But what he won by is such an unbelievably small margin of people in each of the swing states that he won in. I mean, such a it's insane. It's like it's in some places it's in the tens of thousands. You know, like he would win that state by 15,000 votes. Like that's like 2 Joe Rogan shows, right? Worth of people.
That is totally, yeah.
So it's like all he has to do is alienate enough of those people to swing those states back. So I believe that like people that are hardcore Trump people aren't getting swayed. The only people that are getting what kind of an idiot are you when you're a swing voter and like the day before the I don't know, is it going to be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Like how are you so unclear about what you believe in that you're like? But anyway,
there's no. That's so true.
It's crazy.
Who the fuck's a swing voter anymore?
It's insane. And
old people, maybe?
You know how many people don't vote in the country? Like 70% of eligible voters. Like, why they're not focusing on the people that don't vote instead of trying to like get these like fucking troglodytes that are like a week before the election, like swigging Mountain Dew, going, maybe Buttigieg, maybe Trump. Like, I just don't know who's my guy. Like, okay. So all he's got to have done in the last 4 years is alienated enough of those people to swing it the other way that I think a Democrat has a very viable chance of winning. That said, I won't be shocked. If he pulls it out.
I won't be shocked.
What we won't be doing this time, though, Moshe, is throwing an election party.
That was rough, dude. You want to see the picture of liberal fucking arrogance? We had a party. We had a pool party. We invited all of our Hollywood fucking friends over.
We turned the pool up to 100.
Yeah, because we thought it'd be nice to like soak on these like pink peacocks that we bought.
We rented a big TV, like outdoor TV.
We got Mexican catering because we thought it'd be funny, because Trump, Mexico, and there is nothing, and it was like a one-act play. Like there was nothing.
People ending up in the fetal position.
Oh, it
in
was
your
so
pool.
funny. These like Hollywood clueless bubble liberals,
We were all so confused when it started happening.
Yeah, and just like what is? And then there's like one guy in the corner that kept being like, "There's still a statistical. We're still." And then finally that guy was like, went home. We're like, no.
Yeah, he explained like my smartest political friend explained he couldn't win it, or she couldn't win at this point, and.
Oh man,
I was at the.
We got into a huge fight that night too. I was crying.
Why?
It was just like upset. I don't know.
I had just.
You might not be as liberal as us.
No, well, I'm not. I don't think. I don't know what I am, to be dead honest with you. All I know is that I've always voted Democrat. That's all I know is I've never voted Republican. But and so I had been in Ohio and I had a joke about Trump at the time and I had said it and. It did not get a laugh, and I had done it all weekend and it hadn't gotten a laugh. And one of the guys is like, "You're in Trump country," and I was like, "I'm in Ohio. Like, I think this is the most important state."
Right.
And I came home and I was like, "Trump's gonna fucking win." And I went to the store that night. We did a podcast, and I had said to Burr, Stanhope, and Rogan backstage, I was like, "Guys, I really think Trump's gonna win." They're like, "There's no fucking way." And when it started, I was like, I fucking knew this. I saw this by performing in the middle of the country enough. I was like, people are tired of liberals, or people are tired of liberal agendas, and they just wanted something changed. And he was just
I think it's more than that. I think you're right. I don't think you're wrong that people were tired of certain aspects of liberalism and the left. But I also think people. Do you know anybody that trusts politicians?
Nobody.
Anyone?
Nobody.
No percent. 0% of people think that politicians are honest or forthright.
Maybe Bernie Sanders.
No, I don't mean a politician. There are, without question, politicians out there that have a moral core. But what I mean is like when 100% of the people in a country believe that the political system is fundamentally corrupt and that career politicians are by and large dishonest and in the pocket of big corporations, something extreme is bound to happen in a democracy. And like I've said this before, but like the one good thing that could come of Donald Trump is that people stop believing that the president is some kind of like holy, like, royalty. In Britain, where they actually had royalty, nobody looks at the prime minister like they're special simply by virtue of being the prime minister, that they are like to be respected. We don't. The office of the fucking MPs are screaming at each other, calling each other wankers.
But you can admit that it's absurd to have a family that you pay tax dollars to so they can redo their house.
What's that?
Like the royal family.
Oh, 100% royalty is
that's absurd.
Royalty is truly stupid. And we think of our president as a kind of royal.
Yeah.
That's somehow the finger of God, because 14,000 more people in Ohio voted for one person versus the other, that the finger of God is on that person. They deserve your respect. The president doesn't deserve your respect. They don't deserve anything. They're just nobody who wants to be president should ever be president. They should never be president.
It should be forced on you.
Absolutely.
And we should make The Rock president.
I would love it. I would vote for it.
Dude, I would vote for The Rock in a heartbeat.
100%. Oh, a Rock Oprah ticket?
Yeah. Oh my God.
You in?
I mean, I guess.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing this. I really love you guys. I enjoy watching you guys on Instagram. I can't wait I'm going to start listening to your podcast now.
Well, you're going to come on the podcast.
100%. I wanted to come on with my wife so fucking bad.
Endless Honeymoon Podcast.
And we'll be in London.
Oh, yeah, we'll be in London August 12th through the 17th or something.
And I'm going to be in Philly this weekend if this thing comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Please come see me without my husband or my child.
You're in Philly by yourself?
She's at
I'm doing Helium.
Ooh, I love that. I was just in Philly 2 days ago.
It's a great club.
I love Helium. That's one of the best. It's one of the best comedy venues in the country, I believe.
It's so good.
Low ceilings. I like it spread out awkward.
Oh, good. Now I'm excited.
Have you ever been there?
I have, but I just remember it being great, but I don't remember why.
Oh.
And you're telling me why.
Oh, it's one of my favorite clubs ever. It's where I started doing Calling Sick to Work shows. Or DC is where I started. DC is one of the best clubs in the world, too.
I love that place. I just did an album that maybe I'll come back on and promote it when it's going to come out.
Dude, whenever. Hey, I'm being dead serious. You guys
did a crowd work album at the DC Improv, an all crowd work album, and I'm very proud of it. But it's not out just yet. It's coming.
Dude, whenever you guys ever want to be on the podcast,
hell yeah,
please just call, and I'd love to have you. I could literally talk to you guys for hours.
We would love to come back, and we would love to have you come on ours. You said it.
Done deal.
So it's now
Done
a
deal.
booking.
I'm home all of August. You're gonna love London. God, man, I fucking had so much fun in the UK.
Oh, good.
Hell
You're
yeah.
gonna have so much fun.
And we're gonna go to Paris.
And if you're
for the
listening
weekend.
to this, and I know I have a bunch of UK listeners, this is perfect date night.
Hell yeah.
Perfect date night. Get a chick, get your wife,
get
your girlfriend,
yeah, get you a bird,
and go down to this show. This is perfect date night. You guys are like the ultimate date night comedy show.
That's how we brand ourselves, the ultimate date night comedy show. Come on out.
God.
Thank you for
Bert,
having
thanks for having us,
Thank
dude.
you guys.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Always
we love
a
you
pleasure.
too.